Welcome to our channel Mooli Entertainment. If you are new to our channel, then please like and subscribe, and share with friends. Thank you. When my neighbor came over to fix my Wi-Fi that evening, I thought it would be a simple favor. I never imagined it would evolve into an enchanting night, one that would change everything. It started on a quiet Tuesday evening. After a day filled with virtual meetings and looming deadlines, I finally settled into a productive flow around 7 p.m. Just as I was about to submit my work, the dreaded moment arrived. My Wi-Fi cut out. The router's blinking red light seemed to taunt me. Frustration bubbled up as I slammed my laptop shut. My submission was due in less than an hour, and without the internet, I felt utterly trapped. My phone's data barely worked, and the thought of finding a cafe this late was exhausting. Then I remembered Wilson. He lived next door, probably in his early 60s, with a friendly demeanor that always put me at ease. Our interactions were usually limited to polite nods and brief exchanges in the hallway. But there was something undeniably magnetic about him, a quiet confidence that suggested he could handle anything. I hesitated, standing by my door, debating whether it was too forward to ask for his help. But the rising panic drowned out my hesitation. Throwing on a cozy sweater, I stepped into the dimly lit hallway. My heart raced as I knocked, softly at first, then with a little more urgency. Moments later, Wilson opened the door, dressed in a simple grey hoodie and sweatpants, his hair tousled as if he had just stirred from sleep. He smiled warmly, and my heart skipped a beat. "Hey, what's going on?" "My Wi-Fi's out," I said, striving for a calm tone. "Any chance you know how to fix routers? I'm on a deadline." Wilson chuckled, his voice steady and reassuring. "Yeah, I can take a look. Hold on." He disappeared briefly, returning with a small toolkit in hand. "Lead the way." Back in my apartment, I felt a flicker of self-consciousness about the slight clutter. A few books scattered on the table, a lone coffee mug in the sink. But Wilson didn't seem to notice. "This should be quick," he said, kneeling by the router. As I watched him work, I couldn't help but be captivated by how relaxed and at ease he was. There was something calming about his presence. I had always assumed Wilson was straight, but there had always been this undercurrent of tension between us, an unspoken connection that felt electric. As he adjusted the cables and reset the router, I found myself more entranced by his movements than the blinking lights of the device. "You've got a lot going on here," Wilson said casually, glancing at the books piled on the coffee table. "Yeah," I chuckled nervously. "Deadlines. I guess I got a little distracted." He looked up at me, a playful smirk dancing on his lips. "Well, you're lucky I'm good with distractions." His words hung in the air, stirring something deep within me. My face warmed, and I wasn't sure if it was from embarrassment or the undeniable chemistry crackling between us. Moments later, the router's light shifted to green. "Looks like you're back online," Wilson announced, standing up and wiping his hands on his sweatpants. Relief washed over me, but beneath it lay a strange sense of disappointment. I wasn't ready for him to leave just yet. "Thanks," I said softly. "Can I offer you something? Coffee? Tea?" Wilson tilted his head, studying me for a moment before breaking into a smile. "Sure. Coffee sounds good." As I busied myself in the kitchen, pouring 2 cups, my hands trembled slightly from excitement. When I turned back, Wilson leaned casually against the doorframe, watching me with that same quiet confidence that sent butterflies racing in my stomach. "You know," he began, "I always thought you seemed interesting, but we've only exchanged hellos in the hallway." I laughed quietly, handing him a mug. "Yeah, I guess I'm not great at small talk." "Neither am I." His eyes held mine, creating an intimate bubble around us. The air shifted, thickening with an intensity that made my heart race. It felt heavier, but not uncomfortable, charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Wilson took a leisurely sip of his coffee, and I couldn't help but admire the way his lips curled around the rim of the mug. "Maybe it's time we change that." I wasn't sure who moved first. Perhaps it was both of us, drawn together by an invisible thread. One moment there was space between us, and the next, he stood so close that I could feel the warmth radiating off his body. His hand brushed my arm, lingering just long enough to send a rush of warmth through me. "You're full of surprises," I whispered, my voice barely above a breath. "So are you," he murmured back, his gaze locked onto mine. Then, in an intoxicatingly slow motion, his hand slid up, fingers grazing my jawline. I leaned into his touch instinctively, breath hitching in my throat. The world around us faded away as Wilson closed the distance, his lips meeting mine in a tentative kiss. It was soft at first, a gentle exploration, but as I didn't pull away, it deepened, growing firmer, more urgent. His hand cradled the back of my neck, pulling me closer, as if we both understood this moment had been building for far too long. When we finally broke apart, his forehead rested against mine, both of us panting softly. "Guess fixing your Wi-Fi turned into something more," he whispered, a playful grin spreading across his face. I smiled, catching my breath. "Best connection I've had all day." Wilson chuckled, pulling me in for another kiss, this one hungrier, more certain. Our lips moved together with a rhythm that felt both familiar and exhilarating, a dance of emotions woven together. As we kissed, my hands found their way to his hair, fingers tangling in the soft strands, pulling him even closer. His other hand slid around my waist, drawing me against him, our bodies fitting together perfectly. The taste of coffee lingered on our lips, mingling with the sweet electricity that buzzed between us. It felt like we were in our own little universe, where nothing else existed but the two of us. "Wow," I breathed when we finally pulled away, both of us breathless and grinning like fools. "Yeah," Wilson replied, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Definitely unexpected." I took a step back, still in awe of what had just transpired. I was just trying to fix my Wi-Fi. "Sometimes the best things happen when you least expect them," he said, his voice low and inviting. I laughed softly, the sound filled with nervous excitement. "Are you saying I should break my Wi-Fi more often?" "Only if it leads to moments like this," he replied, his gaze intense and sincere. We spent the next few hours lost in conversation, laughter, and lingering touches that ignited butterflies in my stomach. The deadlines that had once loomed over me felt trivial now. As the night wore on, Wilson leaned in closer, our shoulders brushing together. Every accidental touch sent delightful shivers down my spine, and I found myself wanting more. More kisses, more connection, more of him. Eventually, the conversation lulled, and we sat in a comfortable silence, the air thick with anticipation. I felt drawn to him, my heart racing as I stole glances at his lips. "Can I kiss you again?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, the vulnerability in my question hanging between us. He met my gaze, his eyes darkening with desire. "Absolutely." With that permission, I leaned in, capturing his lips with mine once more. This kiss was different, fueled by longing and a sense of urgency. My hands found their way to his face, fingers tracing his jawline as I deepened the kiss. Wilson responded by pulling me closer, his hands roaming my back and sending sparks of heat through me. Every touch ignited a fire within, and I melted against him, feeling safe and cherished. We lost ourselves in each other, the world outside fading away. There was no rush. We savored each kiss, each caress, as if we were discovering a treasure that had been hidden for far too long. "Do you feel this?" Wilson murmured between kisses, his breath warm against my lips. "More than anything," I replied breathlessly. "It's like I've been waiting for this." His eyes searched mine, and I could see the depth of emotion swirling within them. Desire, affection, and something deeper, something that hinted at a beautiful possibility. "Let's not rush," he said softly, brushing his thumb over my cheek. "I want to savor every moment with you." I nodded, feeling a swell of warmth in my chest. Me too. As the night continued, we explored the boundaries of our newfound connection, stealing kisses that left us both breathless, laughter that echoed through the apartment, and soft touches that spoke volumes. We shared stories, dreams, and desires, the intimate moments weaving a tapestry of connection that felt unbreakable. I learned about Wilson's love for gardening, how he spent his weekends tending to his plants, and how he found solace in nature. In turn, I shared my passion for writing, how it had always been my escape and my way of expressing myself. He listened intently, his gaze never leaving mine, making me feel seen in a way I never had before. Every shared laugh, every touch, every lingering kiss built a bridge between us, one that felt steady and solid. As the clock ticked into the early hours of the morning, we found ourselves curled up on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, the remnants of our coffee cups forgotten on the table. I rested my head against Wilson's shoulder, feeling the rhythmic rise and fall of his chest. It was the perfect ending to a night I never wanted to end. "Can I ask you something?" I said softly, my voice barely above a whisper. "Anything," he replied, his tone serious yet gentle. "Where do you see this going?" Wilson paused, and I could feel the weight of his thoughts. "I see it going somewhere beautiful. I've felt this connection with you for a while now, and I want to explore it. I want to know you, every part of you." My heart soared at his words, and a smile broke across my face. "I'd like that." He leaned down, brushing his lips against mine in a sweet, lingering kiss that promised so much more. As I melted into his embrace, I realized that this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey, one filled with love, laughter, and a connection that transcended the boundaries of time. With Wilson by my side, deadlines no longer seemed important. All that mattered was the warmth of his presence, the spark in his eyes, and the undeniable love that blossomed between us. And just like that, fixing my Wi-Fi turned into an unexpected adventure, one that would forever change the course of my life.